I don't know who I am yet, but I know I'm not like that, right?
I
Like
know
we
that I'm not like that.
immediately start like, well, I'm not going to hell. We immediately almost start comparing. Well, at least I got this part of my life together when we become saved, right? Like this
Yeah.
salvation process. And it's like, that's really the antithesis. God immediately just wants us to have empathetic eyes,
Yes. Yeah.
right? But that takes
And
time.
he, and he meets us there though. Like,
Yes, thank
even if
God.
we're like
Yeah.
that, right? He knows that.
Yeah,
I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, he knows.
totally.
He's like, look, okay, this is the process, right? Like,
Yeah.
everything is a process. Baking a
Yeah.
cake is a process, right? And so God meets us there. And I just, even like, I just love his character because I just picture him and he's like, okay, I got you. Let's go, right? And so I was just hungry for him. I was hungry, like any relationship, to get to know him, and know this newfound faith. But it was, I mean, even in that, like, I there was even a self-righteous season moment where I'm like, I just trust the Lord, but really I was naive. Um, and that's just any young Christian. And I try to, I know a lot of young baby Christians where they're like self-righteous, and I'm like, oh, just wait till God brings you in a hard season, my friends.
Yep.
He
Yep.
will
And it's
humble you really quick.
coming. And
But
it's
those
coming.
seasons are the best because
Yeah.
those are where character is built. So, which brings me to this point. But like, in identity, I think idolization is a really big problem right now. Um, I believe that we idolize a lot of things, and can fall trapped to it. Even more so the Bible, right? Like, I'm going to be bold here. I think that people have forgotten the whole realm and aspect of a relationship with Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Um, and we get so caught up in work. So it doesn't even have to be on the span of like not knowing God, but even so knowing God, thinking that you know God so much.
Yeah.
Um,
That's great.
right? You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
That
I
like you
do.
start to idolize certain things that like totally miss the concept, totally miss the purpose of who we are and who we were created for. And so, and we all tend to fall in trap for that. But I know for me, my drive was I didn't know God. Like, I didn't know normalcy. I didn't know what it was to be loved. I didn't know how to love. I even worked at preschools to learn how to parent. I didn't know anything. And
Mhm.
so in that, I fell into the identity of the church. So I was just like, I am going to serve in the children's department, and that's who I am, and I'm this and I'm this and I'm this. And I started to take on these works, and I started to take on things that I do, even a mom. I started to take on, like, I'm a mom. I serve in this church. I go to this kind of church. Blah 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 blah. And you start to take all those things on, and what tends to happen is when we do that and we're not careful, not that those things are bad, but because we found identity in it, because we have labeled ourselves on this very, very surface level, we're actually not dealing with internal things, right? We're not, because it's still all work.
So
Like, it's
good.
still just a lot of
And it
work.
still could go away. All of even being a mom, like you're a mom even in your womb, but like I know women who have lost their child. I also know women whose kids are
It's
now in college
dangerous.
and they've had this like in full shaken of wait, if they're not literally attached to me, what am I? Who am I? What am I supposed to do? Where am I supposed to go? And you're now not
Yeah.
so and so's mom. You're just you, the name, like you
Think
said
of
at the birth.
the devil knows this. This is a great conversation. Here's the thing, the devil knows that. Think about why he wanted to tempt Job. He wanted to take
Mhm.
everything away. God's like, go
Mhm.
ahead. You know
Yep.
why? Because I know he knows who he is and whose he is on the inside. And so, even though those outwardly things that were gone were painful, I mean, were painful. And Job felt all the feelings. He blamed himself. He asked God to forgive me. He was so upset. And we tend to think that if we find our identity in those outwardly things, when those things are gone, not only do we not know who we are, but we tend to fall into condemnation. It's the
Yeah.
devil's biggest trap, because think about it this way. Well, God, what did I do?
Right.
What did I do for you to take it away? It's
Yeah.
literally problematic in the church,
Mhm.
because when a person whom we love, and trust me, I worshiped people more than God in the church, okay? Um, when those people let us down, well, what do we want to do? We didn't know God fully. Not that we didn't know God, but we didn't know him fully. It's like, well, I'm walking away from the church because you know what? Like those people let me down. Nobody, it's just never going to happen. And we lose all hope.
Yep. That's my
Because we
story. I hear
stopped
that.
at a certain point. And honestly, practical, let's get practical. When I help people find identity in Christ, and let me tell you, I was the biggest work appearance, fakeness, prosperity, perfection, success. This is how you know I follow the Lord, right? The
Yeah.
church loves
You'll know me
power,
by the
man.
fruit that I bear.
The church loves that. The church loves power, and we have hurt people by that.
Yeah.
We have failed in that aspect. And so when I ask people to do pray for God to take everything away. People look at me like, what? And I'm like, to ask him. Ask him to strip it all away. Because then you will discover who he is. Because he will be all you have. And then you will realize that he is more than you ever needed.